And Dave.
Indeed.
Do you know what time it is?
What time is it?
Dean and Dave do movies. Actually, we have a theme song. What am I doing? Welcome back. Today, what do we got for you? Nope. 2 hours, 10 minutes long. Tell me a little bit about this, Dave. What is Nope about?
Oh, man.
Who's directing? Who's composing?
Oh, Jordan
Who's
Peele.
in it?
Jordan Peele writes and directs again. This is actually my first Jordan Peele movie that I've seen. Stars Daniel Kaluuya, one of my favorites. O.J. Haywood. We got Keke Palmer as his sister. Keith David, a veteran actor. He's been in tons of things, tons of video games as well. Plays their father. Got Brandon Pera as Angel Torres and Stephen Yeun as Jupe.
I think this is the first real time I've seen him since Walking Dead.
That's what he's from, yeah. I never watched that, but he did look familiar.
He was also in an episode of I Think You Should Leave with Tim Robinson.
Oh, okay. Did not know that.
Yeah, a sketch comedy show. He's shown that he, like Jordan Peele, can also jump around genres. Although he kind of played a serious character. Anyways, we're going to move on. It was $68 million estimated with the budget, and already it's grossed about $166 million. And I'll tell you right now, I'm not surprised. You were saying the word spectacle. He was trying to create a spectacle.
At the time that they were making the film, it was during COVID, so the future of theatrical film was kind of up in the air with nobody being able to go to movie theaters. So it was really important to him, make this movie a spectacle of sorts as a kind of an homage to film. I think he succeeded.
Yeah, especially, and it makes sense because this is actually the first horror film filmed on IMAX cameras.
Right.
So that alone is why it looks beautiful, especially for a scary movie.
Mm-hmm.
Terrifying.
Yeah.
What's it about?
So basically, after witnessing firsthand the bizarre and random death of his father, O.J. Haywood soon starts to notice something unexplained is lurking just beyond the reach of their property.
Ooh.
O.J., along with his sister, will assemble a ragtag group to capture this phenomenon on film, one way or another.
Ah. That sounds pretty good to me. And it looked pretty good to me. What do you like about the movie?
I didn't know a lot about this movie coming into it, I knew there was some kind of alien element, but it also seemed a bit more unorthodox, let's say, than regular or other, sci-fi movies involving aliens invading. Beautifully shot. I liked the cast. I thought they all worked well together. The dynamic between Daniel Kaluuya and Keke Palmer was great, his brother and sister. Seeing Keith David in there briefly, he's a veteran actor. Stephen Yeun was interesting, and Brandon Perea. He brought a lot of energy to the group as well, and I liked their dynamics. It was really good, beautifully shot. Just kind of kept you on your toes. You didn't really know what was necessarily happening or going to happen next, and you're kind of just along for this ride as they try to capture this event on film. But no, I had a great time. Very strange movie, very freaky at times too. We'll get into that a bit more later, but I really enjoyed it.
Yeah, that touched a lot on what I like too, because for me, the mix of genres that it had was what kept you on your toes and kept you interested. Because if you think about it, it's an action movie, it's a suspenseful movie, mainly a sci-fi movie dealing with aliens. It's been scary. It's also funny at times. But my major point, well, actually I got two. My two major points. Number one, this is a recent alien film. That's really good. I think it's going to keep people interested in aliens. As an alien fan myself, I like looking at UFOs. I guess UAPs now. It really makes me happy. The second thing, there was no love story. I did not care for the love story. Sometimes they do well, sometimes they can add, but I find in general they can be filler. So I'm really glad that they did not. Jordan Peele knew, do not add the love. We do not need that right now.
Right.
I guess the real question is, was there anything that you can say you did not like?
No, not really. I mean, it's a weird film at times. It's definitely, like I said, unorthodox. But there's nothing I didn't like. It was funny at times, like you mentioned. The visuals were beautiful. and the acting and the chemistry I thought between the actors was really great. Everyone, brought a lot to it. Especially Keke Palmer and Brandon Perea. They brought a lot of energy to their roles and a lot of humor. And yeah, I just really enjoyed the dynamics of the film, just really not knowing what was going to happen next. So
with their chemistry, it worked really well. I was worried that they were going to try, because normally in a movie, they would probably, any other director would probably take those two and make it into some kind of romantic connection. Just because they're great actors. They did have a lot of chemistry, and their characters played off each other well. But that's what made me love it so much more, was the fact that there wasn't any of that filling bullshit. And I guess if I had to make one, and just to say your points, yeah, it's very true. Let's go on with what you were saying, because when it comes to the acting, Jordan Peele has actually said Daniel Kaluuya is his favorite actor. I'll read you the specific quote, because not only did he say he's his favorite actor, he said, he did actually just say favorite actor in the world. I thought he was going to say best, but yeah, it's his favorite actor in the world. It's because he has this, he calls it powerful stillness.
He does have that, for sure.
And in a lot of scenes in the movies where he plays, for example, he's sitting in his vehicle, it goes dark over top of him, he opens up the door, and it's just from him sitting in the vehicle, opening up the door, looking above, then getting back into the vehicle. He doesn't say a word.
Yeah.
But it's almost like you know what he's thinking.
Yeah.
He expresses that
totally
in just looking at him, just by looking at him. And yeah, so they all had great chemistry together, but I think Daniel in the film, as OJ, really just...
he carries it, yeah, for sure.
He does, and he carries it with, I'm going to say, the least amount of words in the script, or, for a main character, he had the least amount of words.
Yeah, no, he's in one of my favorite movies, Sicario, and he's got that powerful stillness in that movie as well.
One thing that I also wanted to touch upon, too, was the monkey.
Right.
Are we going to jump into Gordy?
Gordy.
You watch this movie. Jordan Peele does a really good job of mixing the genres. He also does a lot of back and forth. So as the movie starts, I didn't know if it was like a production company name, but it was called Monkey Paw. And it started off with like a sitcom-y beginning, which you learn is about, I believe specifically a chimpanzee living with the family. But it goes awry. And he terrorizes the set.
Yeah.
And
Siegfried and Roy type of deal.
Yeah, and at first I was confused for quite a while with the movie. I was like, what is this going on? But then as he came back and forth, his way of like mixing genres and the way he told that story was really impressive, because you just see, or you like, it sounds like this horrible accident, you hear screaming, it shows this monkey beating a bloody body and blood all over the face, and then the monkey turns and looks into the camera. And then it jumps into Nope. And I was like, what is this? Then they bring it back and it ties into the story.
Yeah.
So the things I thought, this is all really leading into, sometimes I thought of the pacing in the movie being slow or being a bit confusing. But it was just my impatience of not letting it play out. I think if I had to make any critique, I think there were certain moments that went on a bit too long, but I think in the overall arch of the movie, if that's my one downside,
right?
I think the movie's doing pretty good.
I think, well, it did have an interesting way of breaking up the different acts, right? Like each act, it seemed like, was named after a different one of the horses that the family, has trained over the years, and so it was a bit, again, I'll use the word unorthodox, but I think you kind of at some point just have to kind of give into the way the director, the writer is trying to tell this story, and maybe it's a bit different than normal, but that's okay, It
made it suspenseful because it's like one of those true crime shows where it's like da da, or what am I thinking of? One of those fucking crime shows. But anyways, it would just be black screen, white text,
like Law and Order.
Yes, da da, and you would see the black screen, the white text, and it was so simple, but it brought you into this like preparedness, this suspensefulness. You're like, what's gonna happen here? You know what's gonna happen, but you don't know what's gonna happen. And I found, for a movie that did a really good job looking beautiful, the cinematography was beautiful, where they filmed in California was gorgeous. For them to have that break in the screen, for Jordan Peele to make that decision, it just fit in really well, and it really added more to the overall feel of the movie.
And I think it also made it more like a classic kind of old school movie, right? Where, before we even had sound, it was all you would have is, text and music pretty much. And that would kind of break up the scenes because you couldn't really tell a story as, I don't know, true to life as you could now, right? So,
yeah, there's such a great blend of being a spectacle, like you mentioned. That's exactly what he wanted. Bringing in that old nuance, for example. Starting off with Gordy, jumping back into that, it was like based off an 80s, 90s sitcom. Mm-hmm. And they even started it kind of... Actually, they played a scene where they had like the old grainy version of it, but when they played the 80s style with like the modern camera as well as IMAX, it looked amazing. Mm. So it was really interesting to see bringing these old looks, these old feels that were written in that time period, it feels like, but to the modern day screen. So I think there's a lot of blend, not only in genres, but cinematically. It really was an impressive way just to see multiple genres and timelines. Cowboys.
Parallels, yeah.
There's the cowboys, there's the sitcom, there's the modern day just living on a ranch, there's going into town, there's the depressed, grieving over a loss of a girlfriend, like a millennial worker. Right. There's a little bit of everything that was modern, that was vintage, and all meshed together to make one good movie.
Yeah, totally. We also had an appearance by our good friend Nicolas Cage, which I didn't know at the time. But now when I read about it and then kind of like rewound my memories of it, I was like, oh, like that voice did kind of, in my memory, I'm like, oh, that did sound like him. Yeah, how did I not clue in at the time?
I'd have to listen to it again to verify if it sounded like him to me. Verify, like, no, just for me to remember what it sounds like, because I can't recall. But I found it interesting that it was just a voice with the actor.
Not the face even. Probably not even the body.
Yeah, no. So it was an interesting move. And as soon as you mentioned to me, you're like, guess who was the voice? I knew right away. And we just reviewed him. And I'm just so happy because you made the excellent point of Neil Patrick Harris having his start from another movie, making a cameo, and I'm hoping and thinking this is proof that he's coming back. He's being relevant.
Didn't show his face, didn't use his body, but at least his voice in a movie that was in theaters. That's an improvement.
It's good enough.
So
that is improvement. Another thing I wanted to mention is Jordan Peele as a director. First of all, he's a hilarious human being. Great sketch. Fantastic director. And he likes to hide little things inside. NOPE is an acronym. Not of planet Earth. So that's a fun little fact for you just to think about for a second.
Yeah. Yeah, no. I was wondering why. That was the one thing when I saw the trailer for this movie. I was a bit confused because, I don't know, most alien movies, you kind of play up the fact that it's an alien. But this one was kind of a bit more mysterious. Like, it was an alien, but special circumstances in a way, right? That's why it's called something like NOPE, But I had no idea about that acronym.
And you mentioned earlier about how they brought like realisticness to like the screen in like an unrealistic way when they designed the name of the alien they call Jean Jacket. To get the shape of it, while we're watching the movie, we both agreed it was very jellyfish-like. They actually consulted with I believe it was an aerospace engineer, some kind of engineer that specialized in like the hydrodynamics of jellyfish propulsion.
Okay.
And I just wanted to slide back into just, again, how amazing it looked. And for an alien movie, they made a pretty good looking alien. Mm-hmm. All jellyfish-like.
It did look pretty foreign, yeah.
Yeah, it was also an interpretation that I haven't seen before. And maybe we'll just jump into a spoiler right now.
I think we've already done that.
We've done it a few times. Let's jump back into it. So Jean Jacket, for memory's sake, or just for ease, the alien, is a UFO and a monster. So in order for it to move easier, it has that disc-like shape, but the hole is actually just its mouth. But then when it unfolds, it's like looking at like those weird deep-sea jellyfish. You don't know what to think of it. It's oddly beautiful and terrifying at the same time.
And deadly, yeah.
Yeah, and extremely deadly. Anything that can fly and has a mouth bigger than you, you're safe to assume it is not safe.
Yeah.
Another cool point that Jordan Peele brought up was the relationship of the Gordy, especially with Steven's character, how Jupe. And by the way, when they made Jupe's area there, I forgot the little saloon town.
Mm-hmm.
They actually, I believe you can see that at Universal now.
Oh,
I
really?
think you can go there.
Oh, cool.
And they have a social media account that you can check in. So check out social media. I don't know about social media. I don't give a fuck about that. But there's a relationship between Gordy. I'm really getting into the animals. I really like the animals. I was a cat and turtle dad, so still got the little turtle. So I like my animals. And so the relationship between Gordy and the alien for Jupe was thinking, so now we're just going to jump into these fucking spoilers. So Gordy the monkey, Jupe's a young child star in this TV show. They have the monkey attack. He survives. Monkey's beating the shit out of two people. It kind of goes over. It doesn't know what to think, and it sees him as a child under the table. And the monkey even does like that 2 hands on the head, like, what did I just do? And he goes to make a connection with Jupe, and they have this from the TV show, their little fist bump. So Gordy puts his fist out, Jupe goes to touch his fist, and he gets shot beforehand. And so they almost made it like Jupe's redemption, or he has a feel with the animals. So there's a scene in particular where he tries to prove that he can kind of work with this and he can make this his part of his show. But just like the chimpanzee, it shows you in the real life how if you don't have the respect and you have the greed to abuse these animals, no matter what they do, even Siegfried and Roy, like you mentioned, it can go against you. And so that was a really cool message too, just about how you look after the animals. And that was a big point for their ranch, for the horses, is you have to understand it. It isn't just a bring them on, you can do this. You have to have the respect. Greed can't stand in the way of.
Yeah, he did not learn his lesson, it seemed like. And it seemed, too, like he thought, I don't know, that maybe he was special. And like you said, he had some kind of connection with, I guess, creatures that he could kind of pull this off. But that wasn't the lesson that he was meant to learn from that experience.
Now, with all my jumbled little discussion points, Dave, I have a very important question I want to ask you. Are you ready?
Born ready.
Was that the thing that would happen when you came out of the womb? You were just like, ready?
Yep.
Interesting. That's another fun fact for you. What is your score? How big is this bush? 1 through 10. What do you give it?
Oof.
What do you give nope?
I'm going to go with 8. I'm going to go with a solid 8.
You give it an 8.
Yeah.
You really like the movie. What stopped it from being a perfect 10?
I like the movie. I think I'll watch it again. I just don't. I don't know. It is a kind of a weird movie. Like it is kind of. It's it crosses a lot of genres, humor, horror, suspense. Some action, like you said. I like the mystery of it. I like the subject matter, like we mentioned before. It kind of reminded me of Skinwalker Ranch and all those kind of experiences that people have talked about. Kind of reminded me of Jaws a little bit and Close Encounters of the Third Kind. Yeah, I thought it was good. I just didn't think it was great. I don't really...
Well, 8 out of 10 is pretty dang
I think
good.
it was just very unorthodox in a lot of ways. And not in a bad way, but just, yeah.
Now, me being the easygoing one, I give it a 9 out of 10.
Shocking.
Yeah, exactly. What it really comes down to is it's beautifully written. Lots of action, and by action I mean lots of things going on, and you're always on the edge of your seat because there's a lot of quiet times. But I think for me, what really draws it back is just the sense of it scared me too much. It's very scary.
Yeah, no, there's definitely moments where I was kind of like startled and like, like.
No, I think it's a great movie, and to be serious, I think what's holding me back and what holds every movie back is just sometimes it's a great movie. I would love to watch it again, but I'm not going to be rewatching. It's a movie I'm definitely going to talk about.
Sure.
But I've seen it. I'll see it a couple more times with people who want to see it, and then I think that might be it.
Right. Yeah. No.
That's me personally as a preference because I get scared, and I think that just about wraps it up. Do you have anything final conclusions? Any thoughts in your head?
No. I think we kind of touched on everything. Definitely recommend seeing this movie, especially if you're into aliens, especially if you're into like things like Skinwalker Ranch. For those of you that know what that is, I think this will definitely have something for you.
If you like, I would call it more of a thriller and sci-fi. Either of those genres, if not both of them, watch this movie. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you for putting up with us.
All right, we'll see you guys next time.
Craving a movie podcast with wicked wit and sizzling style?
Look no further. Dean and Dave Do Movies is your ticket to nonstop cinematic fun.
Don't miss a beat. Rate us 5 stars, subscribe to us wherever you listen to podcasts,
and share our show with fellow film fanatics.